Steve. It's another rousing edition of the Steel Target Paint Podcast. I was looking at the stats, and a lot of people really like the Smoke and Hope breakdown episode we did. How about we do another one?
Let's do it, Jeff. How about Showdown? I've had some good runs on Showdown lately, and there's been a lot of chatter on the internet and social media about Showdown and some blazing runs, and let's kind of dissect Showdown.
I like it. Let's do it. So why don't you start? How do you shoot Showdown from the left side?
All right. So, Jeff, there is an option for people to start either on the left box or the right box. So I always start on the left box, and typically I will shoot 3 strings of fire on the left box. And then, of course, I always remember by putting a magazine over on the right box to move to the right side. But the way that I shoot it from the left box is I shoot the back 18 by 24-inch plate and then the close 10-inch plate, and then I go to the back, which is actually plate 4, that 18 by 24, and then I shoot the plate number 3, which is the 10-inch plate in the middle, and then hit the stop plate. So it's actually 1, 2, 4, 3, stop. Although when you're sitting in the stage, it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, stop, but the back plates are 1 and 4. So the reason why I shoot it that way is the same little breakdown as roundabout. I break down the stage into 3 separate arrays, if you will. Big, little, stop. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, stop. It's 2 shots, and then I hit the stop plate pretty hard.
Well, I shoot it the same way. And the one thing I also do, like roundabout, when I'm on the left side, is I stand as far right as possible in the box. And again, what that does is it brings those first 2 plates together to where it's a very quick 1-2 transition.
Right.
Now, the one thing that I have sometimes trouble with is catching what would be when you're on the left side, it would be, again, as you pointed out, it's technically plate 3, but it's the plate you're shooting the last, which would be that 12-inch plate at, I believe, 12 yards? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the stop plate.
Right. No, not the stop plate. The plate before the stop plate. I think the stop plate's
in
the far right small plate. It's actually a 10-inch plate.
Yeah, it is a 10-inch plate. See, that's
okay.
where you threw me off.
Yep.
So the 10-inch plate is at 10 yards. So you've got 10, 12, and then 25 yards.
There you go. So the 10-inch plate at 10 yards on the far right side, which is plate number 3, is I will sometimes have trouble with that plate because I want to transition off of it so fast I don't get to it. And so one of my tips that I use is, while I'm standing on the far right side of the box, if I find that I'm not getting out to that plate, I'll drop my back foot into the box just a little, allowing my body to open up a little more to that plate. And once I do that, I'm ripping it.
That's a great tip, Jeff.
So now we've talked about the left side. Now I know a lot of people, most people I see draw on the big plates, whether they're on the left or the right. But I see a lot of people who will actually transition from the front plate to the other front plate and then pick up the back plate going back. And I think, again, if it works for you as a shooter, I think that's a very successful way to doing it. It does make the large plate on the back side a very big speed trap. Because if you're going to do it that way, you're going to want those last 3 shots to be bang, bang, bang. And if you go bang, miss, bang, you just ate a mic.
Got that T-shirt, Jeff. I got the socks. I got the shoelaces. Yeah, I've got
the whole wardrobe. The whole wardrobe.
Yep.
Okay, so we pretty much dissected the left side. And you make a really good point too, and it's something that I do, is when I walk up to the stage, before I've taken my gun out, before the make ready is even given to me, I will put 2 mags over on the barrel for the right side. I too start on the left. But the one thing I do that's a little different is I don't always take 3 from the left. I know what my edge is. I know what I want to shoot. And if I'm shooting that speed on the left where I want to be, I'll put down 3 strings. But if I'm not
Right.
having a great day from the left, then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go over to the right. And if I'm having a better day on the right, I'll shoot 3 from the right. And if not, then I'll go back to the left. And that is actually a valid prerogative of a shooter to be able to do that.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Jeff. So what you're saying is I can shoot 1 from the left, shoot 1 from the right, shoot 1 from the left, shoot 1 from the right, and go back to the left if I want to as a shooter.
That is correct. I don't know how much the ROs are going to like that, but you would be within the rules doing that.
Yeah, maybe there's going to be a short or long beep coming your way soon.
Oh, that's funny. So we've dissected the left side. What about the right side? You doing the same thing? You just going straight across, or do you change anything?
So it's interesting. When I go to the right-hand side, and I've kind of toyed around with this, set the stage up in practice numerous times, and I shoot it, I would say the same way, but yet backwards, meaning that from the right side, I'm coming up on the back plate, which would be number 4, and then I'm hitting the small 10-inch plate, which is plate number 3, and then I'm hitting plate number 1, which is the back 18 by 24-inch plate, and then I'm coming back to plate number 2, which is the 10-inch plate, and then I'm hitting the stop plate. So I'm shooting big, small stop.
And for you, you're a right-handed shooter. I'm a right-handed shooter. You say you tend to take 3 from the left. Do you tend to find the left side is generally your better side?
You know, that's a great question, Jeff, because I think it's my lack of shooting experience in other disciplines, and maybe I need to shoot rimfire challenge more where there's different arrays with different locations of stop plates. I do shoot the left-hand side typically better than the right just because it's a true left or right motion. I'm a better shooter left to right. Maybe it has something to do with reading left to right, but I'm just a dash quicker because I think I have to think about it less. How about
Good
you,
point.
Jeff?
Well, again, I change, and quite frankly, it varies by the platform I'm shooting. I have found that with a rifle, I'm better from the left, but with a pistol, I'm better from the right. And so this is why, I take a note out of your, I was going to say podcast, but it's a note out of your blog, and I know what my edge is. And so I go up to the stage. In the case of Showdown, I think I'd like to be in a match. I would love to be in the 1-8 range. So if I'm on the left side and I'm throwing 1-8s, I'm going to throw as many 1-8s as I can on the left. If I'm throwing better, I'm going to continue to do that. But if I get into, having a makeup and maybe I'm in the low 2s, I'm going to go, that's going to be my throwaway. And then I'm going to go get my 2 on, then I'm going to move over and get my 2 on the right side, and hopefully they're better. They're in that edge time that I'm looking for, and then have to make a decision. Okay, am I comfortable on the right, or do I want to go back to the left? And I think for me, it's always trust the timer.
Right.
If the timer says I'm better from the right on that day, stay on the right. Shoot the 3rd string from the right. The timer doesn't lie in most cases.
Sometimes you think it does, but
Yeah, you want it to lie when you hear, what? No, I thought it was faster than that. So yeah, I think the key here though, and I used to shoot it differently. I used to shoot it, back, front, back, stop. And again, as you pointed out with Showdown, There's a consistency that back front, stop. It's what you see as you're going across. I have a tendency to see a plate and want to shoot it as soon as I see it. And it's tough to go past plates when you have that feeling. So shooting it
Right.
straight across keeps it simple. It's a very good snap back to the stop plate. But also, if by chance you miss that third shot on the big plate, whichever box you're in, hopefully your makeup is going to be quick. And we should talk about that for a second. Let's mention that. If you're shooting that stage and you miss your third shot, what do you do?
So for me, for my third shot, if I'm on the left box, so I'm shooting the 18 by 24, then the 10 inch, then the 18 by 24, I proceed. I proceed to the 10 inch plate and I pick it back up on the way through to the stop plate. I have found, for me, that's the fastest way for me to pick up that shot.
Well, I think if I could give anyone out there a recommendation, I would say do the same thing. And it's a physics, to me, it's a physics problem, okay? As you're coming off of that plate, you're already transitioning to the next plate. And if you stop and go back and get it, and then go back to the final plate, and then come back to the center, there's a lot of transitioning, a lot of wasted time in there. So that's a really good point. Now, I would say the same thing even if you miss plate number or your second shot. I mean, if you miss your first shot, you got to make that up. Because again, that's going to be on the far side of the stage. But if you miss that second shot, I would say keep moving. Get the other ones, and then it's going to be a quick transition back past the stop plate and then into the stop plate. And you all got to play around with that to see. I mean, I don't generally practice makeup shots because I want to practice the things that are positive. So when I practice, I tend not to practice makeup shots. But it's something that you ought to know what to do, what's best for you if it happens. And I know for me, it's better to just shoot the string across and then make up any shots that need to be made up. But again, I'm hoping not to make up anything because we all know 1 for 1's going to be your best score.
Absolutely. We've tried to disprove that theory, but over and over again, I come to the realization going 1 for 1 is always quicker than picking up shots.
There are some very fast shooters out there that can make up shots and still put in amazing strings. But again, their makeups at best, maybe 0.2 and probably more in the 0.3 range. What would they have done if they'd have just said, taken an extra tenth of a second, they'd still be ahead of the game, catching up that plate. So something to consider there.
I've got a technical question for you that maybe you can help me out with. I'm not 100% sure of the answer. Maybe we'll have to reach out to the Zach Jones for the answer. But let's talk about plate height on Showdown. Are the 10-inch plates supposed to be the same height as the 12-inch stop plate? Do you know, Jeff?
My understanding is that, except for pendulum, all round plates, the top of the plate is at 5 foot. And all rectangular plates, the top of the plate is 5'6".
Okay.
Now, that
and then
changes the pendulum, of course.
Yep.
Pendulum, the outer plates, the top of the plate is at 6 foot. Now that is measured from the shooting box. And
Correct.
that's where I think a lot of people, most ranges, if they're built with drainage in mind, downrange is higher than uprange, where the shooting box is. And so if you remember at Worlds, outer limit looked hilarious because the 35-yard plates were on like 2.5-foot stands. But
yeah,
when you lined everything up, they were right where they needed to be. So that's my understanding. In fact, that's how we set up the whack when we shot our match, as far as the heights and all that, because we do have that gradient problem. And the goal, of course, was that from the shooting box, when you presented that gun straight out for every stage except for pendulum, you were going to be on every plate.
Right.
Is that your understanding, or just you didn't know, or you just weren't sure?
No, so that was my understanding because I use GT targets targets at home, and as well as most of the ranges that I shoot in the local Atlanta area. And so we cut the boards to 54 inches for the 12-inch plates, 56 for the 10-inch, and then 66 inches for the for pendulum. And so the reason why I brought up this point is that if Showdown is set up correctly, it is my opinion that Showdown is the single fastest stage out of all 8 stages in Steel Challenge.
Yeah, so while I think Smoke and Hope maybe everybody considers to be one of the fastest stages, for me, Roundabout tends to be one of the fastest stages. But I agree. If you are very good at getting that gun up and trusting that first shot, I would have to agree that Showdown could be one of the fastest stages because the amount of transition to the plates is so small compared to even a Roundabout. Is that where you were, what you were thinking?
Yes, Jeff. I think Showdown, if set up properly, is one of the fastest stages because the plates are on one plane, meaning that you can transition the gun just side to side and you don't have to go up and down. But also the transitions between the plates are less than I think any other stage that's out there, at least the faster stages. And so I pulled up my classification since we've been talking, and I'll focus on my 2 fastest guns that I shoot, which is PCC optics as well as rimfire rifle open. And sure enough, by a couple hundredths of seconds, my PCC time is 0.06 seconds less on Showdown than my Smoke and Hope time. And for my rimfire rifle open, it is 0.01 seconds quicker shooting Showdown than Smoke and Hope. So it's, for me, hang on. Yep, 0.01. That's it's kind of crazy. But also, let me see what this other stage is down here. Roundabout with my rimfire rifle open gun is 0.01 seconds slower than Smoke and Hope. So it's all within 0.02 seconds of 3 fastest stage. I think that's pretty interesting. What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. And, while you pulled yours up, I pulled mine up. And I just looked at my PCC optics, and my fastest recorded stage is Showdown. And in fact,
really?
Yep. And when I look at my rimfire pistol open, it's Showdown. And when I look at my rimfire rifle iron, it's Showdown. So I think you're onto something there.
Hey.
But I think, again, Smoke and Hope, everybody's, we talked about it in the last one where we broke the stage down, and everybody thinks it's the fastest one. And as of right now, it has the fastest time.
Right.
But, we're going to find out here at the beginning of the year when Mike releases the new times, whether or not that's going to stay true. More shooters. I mean, I saw a video that you had with Chris Barrett, and he was crushing Showdown. And honestly, I tried to slow the video down. I don't think he stopped. And you were there.
Yeah.
Did he stop?
Yeah, after he shot the stoplight, he did. Yeah, it was unbelievable. We were doing some practicing on 5 to go as well as pendulum, and then we got to Showdown and set up the stage. And I think his first string of fire was 1.41 seconds with 6 shots. I kid you not, Jeff. He shoots it the same way that I do. He comes across the plate. he made a makeup shot. So we're talking about makeup shots. He made a makeup shot on that back right 18 by 24 inch plate. His split was 0.14 seconds. So he knew as soon as he pulled the trigger, he pulled the trigger again with a slight sight adjustment to get a 1.41 seconds. And that's when I said, all right, let's do that again. Somebody roll the camera. And I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. So that's why I posted the video as well as from my timer so everybody could see the split. So his second string of fire was 1.29 seconds, and he missed that stoplight by, it may have been an eighth of an inch. And so had him shoot it a third time, and he connected. He shot it in 1.26 seconds. His first shot was 0.40. His split to the next plate was 0.21, which is incredibly fast. To the third plate, it was 0.28. To the fourth plate, 0.19. And then to the stop, back across from plate number 3, which is the fourth in the order if you're standing on the left-hand side of the box, in 0.18 seconds. Jeff, I could barely squeeze off the trigger as fast as I can in 0.18 seconds, and he's transitioning off the plate to the stop plate in 0.18 seconds. It was unbelievable.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And there was a Facebook discussion with a really good friend of both of ours, Chad Wiley. And he raised the question, is there ever going to be a sub-5 Smoke and Hope? And I believe that we're going to see a sub-5 Showdown before we see a sub-5 Smoke and Hope. I think that
I think
the way that Chris has been shooting it, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, I met Chris a year and a half ago, and I was beating him, and he has just turned it on in the last year and a half, and he's crushing it, and a good kid. And just, I shot with him at Area 6. A lot of fun to shoot with. And, enjoyed spending time with his dad. His dad's always there with him, Jeff. And, but I think we're going to see a sub-5 smoke, or a sub-5 Showdown before we see a sub-5 Smoke and Hope.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, Jeff. And it's interesting because Chris and his dad, Jeff, also came over this weekend hey, Jeff, did I tell you I got a new home range?
at Chez Foster, the new Steel Challenge range.
Sorry, it's a character flaw of mine. But anyway, it was interesting because I was sharing with Jeff, his father, about the first time that we met. And it was at the 2017 Alabama State NSSF match, down the Rimfire Challenge match. I was fortunate to take second place overall and first and limited in that match. And this young man out of nowhere, I think he was second place junior because Chase Orr shot in a blazing time. Came in second place at that match. I didn't know who he was. But coincidentally, I parked right next to him because I made a wrong turn. He's kind of like, oh, looks like you finally found this place. Nice. And so that's how I met his dad and Chris. But fantastic representation of the sport. He's a great young man. He just turned 18, so he's shooting with the big boys now.
Well, again, we'll go back to the Mike Foley interview, and he says, they tend to get them from about 12 to 18, and then they're gone for about 4 years to college. So bye, Chris. Go to college. Go learn, and don't shoot for the next 4 years, and come back when you're about 22, okay? How's that work for you? Works for me. Steve, how about you? Does that work for you?
Hey, I was telling his dad, he mentioned that he's got a girlfriend. I said, hey, Dad, why don't you buy him a nice pickup truck? Hey, I'll sell you my pickup truck at a steep discount just so he gets interested in trucks and women and leaves the sport alone for a little bit. That's where my head's at, Jeff.
It works for me. Anybody else out there, please chime in on the Facebook page. Chris Barrett should should enjoy life and take some time off of shooting.
Maybe
Chris,
we can start a
Chris, you know we
GoFundMe
love you,
account
and
for
we're
him.
just joking with you. You know what was that, Steve? Sorry.
I was going to say we need to start a GoFundMe account for maybe a nice big pickup truck. Maybe even college out of state. I think that's a good idea too.
There you go. There you go. Oh, too much fun.
Jeff, do you have any tips you'd like to share with our group?
Well, again, you know, I've written some blogs. I don't know if I've talked about it here, but it's something that a lot of people, I don't think, take enough time, especially when they're going to major matches. And that is, again, you know, your tip on match preparedness. You know, I look at everything not involved with shooting that I want to make sure is taken care of, so I don't have to think about it at the match. So I don't want to trust anybody to provide me anything, so I have water and snacks. Thanks to Heather Martin, I now have my noon tablets for a little extra jolt of brain power and electrolytes. I went to Area 6 with twice the amount of ammo that I needed, just in case something went wrong with my ammo. And I actually went with, you know, for rimfire, I went with CCI Standard and CCI Minimag, just in case. And I was over-prepared, but I was also never worried about any of that stuff. So clean your guns, prepare for the match, do all the things that aren't shooting related well before you get ready to go to a match, so you don't have to worry about those things. When's the last time you ever go to practice and open up your bag and go, oh, I forgot my mags? I've done that. I bought that T-shirt. So,
Jeff, do you know what my biggest fear is?
what's that?
My biggest fear going to the match, of course, it's, you know, I'm always going to make sure I've got my guns, I've got my ammo, my magazine. I don't know what it is in the back of my head is I'm always fearful I'm going to leave my Hunter's HD Gold glasses in my gun room, and because they're not in my bag for some reason. So make it a checklist. It doesn't hurt.
No, it does not. In fact, it helps a lot. You do that the night before. Everything's packed there by the front door. You can't walk out the front door without tripping over it, so you know you got to move it into the car. And when you get there, you're going, I can just go to the match. I don't have to worry about it. I know everything's there. I took care of it the night before. So, you know, making those checklists is a good thing. So I highly recommend it to everyone. Well, Steve, I think we did a great job breaking down Showdown. I enjoy this banter back and forth. And again, as I said, I think people are liking it from the comments we're seeing on the Facebook page. I think we'll cut it off here for now. And
just remember that Larry and the Rainbow Technologies family has provided this audience a discount code for 10% off at rangestore.net. It is ST Podcast 10. So ST Podcast 10 to get 10% off anything at rangestore.net.
Steve, I reached out to a shooter we all should know if you shoot IPSC or USPSA or Steel Challenge, and we're going to get to talk to him in the next podcast. You got any guesses?
Oh, Rob Latham?
No, it's not Rob. That would be a good one, but it's not Rob. Guess number 2.
How about Julie?
No, it's not Julie either. You got one more guess. Let's see if you can get it on this one.
It couldn't be.
It is.
Did you get Max?
I did. I reached out to Max through his training website, and he agreed to be on the podcast. So everybody keep an ear out for the next episode of the Steel Target Paint podcast, because we're going to be talking to the one and only Max Michel. Another good one. Thanks for coming out. You know, I'm going to sign off with my classic. Don't forget, one shot, one steel.